So we are currently converting the inside of our old school four-wheel drive Ford E350 into what I think is going to be the ultimate overland camping build. And in the last video, we did an overview comparing the ecoflow power kit to the kind of old school traditional Victron electrical systems that I used in vans like that. I said if that video gets 1,000 likes that I would make an installation guide. So today we are going to be installing the ecoflow power kit. I'm going to be guiding you guys through it. Let's get cracking. So real quick, I want to give you guys an overview of what we're going to be doing here and like what the kit includes. The entire ecoflow kit is comprised of these 4 components right here. The first one is the battery itself. The next one is the power hub. This is like the inverter plus the solar charger plus the alternator charger. The power hub connects to component number 3 here, which is the distribution panel. And then final component is this screen here, which just gives you all the status on your battery, like percentage and temperature. And besides these components, everything else in the kit is basically all of the pre-made connectors that allow you to plug them into each other, which is really nice because honestly, making those custom wires and putting custom connectors on everything, that can take a ton of time in a traditional electrical system. So as you can see, I have the battery, the power hub, and the distribution panel all mounted already. And I don't think I actually used any of the mounting hardware that came in the kit. The challenge with us is that we're using these 80/20 aluminum extrusions for all of the framing of our cabinetry. So I did the extra challenging, difficult version and like built my own 80/20 structures, which all of these things are mounted to here. You can see the power hub is just a bunch of 80/20. And then the distribution panel is 80/20 with wood because there wasn't enough space to screw it directly into an 80/20 extrusion. So very first thing, we got to get the battery connected to the power hub. So this is my box that has all of the cables that we're probably going to use. But this one right here with the 2 big square looking connectors on it is the power hub to battery connector. First things first, we're going to take the little rubber protector thingy off of the battery itself. We're going to take the first side of this battery cable, plug it in. It kind of clicks. And if we look on the power hub, there's a bunch of ports, and I am going to plug it in on the first battery port here. I apologize to you guys for how compact of an install this is. We're going to connect the DC out from the power hub into the distribution panel here. It's this wire right here. So it's labeled DC out in the package. So we're basically just going to pop this little piece of plastic out with our thumb. We're going to take our positive and negative and our M5 bolts, which I cannot remember where I set down. Start with the ground, the black wire. It's labeled N-. Now we can do the P+. Make sure they're pretty tight, not like crazy tight, but definitely nice and snug. And then we can take our connector and plug it into the DC out on the side of the power hub. Next up, let's go ahead and do the AC output connection from the power hub to the distribution panel. For the AC connectors, we are going to be using the M4 bolts that come in the kit. Same process here, just match the labels up with the terminals. It's so crazy, these bolts even already have like the lock nut and the washer on them. You don't need to buy anything at all, and they're just perfectly engineered to not vibrate loose as you drive down the road. And then same deal with the other side of the AC cable here, except we're going to plug it into the AC out port on the side. Okay, easy enough. So now all we need to do is connect the data cable to the control panel so that we can see that, as well as there's actually a data cable that goes in here as well. We're going to come in from the side, and it just plugs in right up there. Underneath that caution sticker on the side here, there's actually 2 data cable ports. Doesn't matter which one you plug into where. And so we're going to plug this guy into one of them. Okay, so one more wire here, the second data connector into the screen, into the port next to the one we just did. You can see there's just a port here on the back. The other side goes in there. Well, let's go ahead and see if we've done things correctly or if this blows up. Press and hold 3 seconds. I see light. I see more blinky lights. Screen go on. It's a good sign, I guess. No sparks yet. Hey-oh. You can see we have ourselves 30% left. And the biggest downside I can see so far is that we have like 5 bundles of cables down here. I'm not too worried about it, to be honest. You're not really gonna have to ever manage these cables or like come in and change things. So I'm probably just gonna keep them bundled up and stack them in this corner. I might zip tie them to something so that they're secure. This is one of those like mind-blowing moments for somebody who's been in this industry for a long time. We just did all of the battery to the output for both DC and AC in like 30 minutes. That is normally legitimately a multi-day job for me. So obviously we need to connect a 12-volt connection from this distribution panel to our lights. I like to use the Anchor branded wire. I'll put a link to this in the video description below. And to be honest, for almost all of my 12-volt accessories, at least anything that draws a small amount of power, like lights and fans and stuff, I'll just use 14-2 wire for all of it. It's pretty small gauge, so it doesn't, weigh a lot. It's not super cumbersome. It's fairly cheap. It basically just has a red and a black wire in there, akin to your positive and negative. That's all you need for 12 volt. And then I like to just use these like manual old school cutter and crimper combo tool thingies. You can find these at your local hardware store. The really special stuff about this Anchor wire is that it is tinned copper wire. And in my opinion, it's the highest quality tinned copper wire brand you can buy. So first things first, we got to cut a length of cable that's going to reach from here all the way up to where our light is. I always like to start with longer than I need, and then I can always cut off a couple of feet if I did too much. So let's start by putting our wire connection into the 12-volt distribution in the ecoflow distribution panel. First thing you got to do is cut off the wire part of the insulation to expose the red and black parts of the wire. I don't even cut it all the way. I just kind of like cut it halfway through, just enough so that if I need to tear it off, it'll tear at that point. You can just tear it off on that little mark that we made. So now we've got our red and black wires. I'm going to try kind of starting with just standard length here. So let's call it like 1/2 inch. There's a 1/2 inch off of the positive. Now let's do 1/2 inch off the negative. Gotta twist the tips here. I think we're gonna go in through the side. So now we can pass our twisted cable. You can see the negative side is on the bottom here. So we're gonna take our black one and go on the first position on the bottom by just popping the tab down, sliding it in, and then closing the tab. Oh, I think a 1/2 inch was like perfect. And then we're gonna do the same thing on this side. Pop it up, slide it in, and pop it down. Wow, that is easy. No connectors necessary. Now we need to route the other side of this wire all the way up towards my lights. It runs out the side of the distribution panel, comes out right here, and I have a dangling piece here. So what we effectively need to do is the same thing on this side, where we take the insulation off and expose about a 1/2 inch of the bare wire. That 1/2 inch of the bare wire into the positive and negative on this particular LED controller panel thingy. If I stick them into the terminals, we should have everything connected. So if I go back to our control panel, if I turn the DC power on, so they're not turning on. Not exactly sure why. Okay, so what I figured out is that there's actually these like software switches built into the system. You can see DC1 is turned off here. When I turn it on, the LEDs come on. I'm not gonna go into too much detail about the actual LEDs here, but I'm very proud and spent a lot of money and time iterating on ideas to eventually get to what we have here. At nighttime, Maddie and I really like to have it like an orange and dim it down real low It's nice and easy on the eyes. But then when I'm building in here, I like it to be fully bright. God, I need a haircut so bad. But just note that you have to buy the exact products in the exact links that I set up. There's like 1,000 different tiny variations of all this stuff, and only a very select number of permutations play nicely together. So also what I'm realizing here is they just by default put a 20 amp fuse into all of the DC locations. I'm going to put a smaller fuse that comes with the ecoflow power kit in this one right here. I do actually want to show you guys how to do a connection to an AC device as well. Since I don't have any devices that I want to permanently attach or install into the van, I'm just going to attach the other side of this extension cable here. Very similar to the DC wiring actually, but instead of using a 2-stranded DC wire, I buy it from the same company. This is Anchor as well, but this is a 3-strand wire. It is simply 3-strand, 12 gauge, marine version wiring. I'll put a link to this stuff in the description below. Make sure you have your AC power turned off during this, or else you're going to get yourself some nice sparks. You can use the wires that we originally connected to power the distribution panel as reference here. There's neutral, load, and ground. Load is the black, neutral is the white, and ground is the green. Black, green, and white wire in this one that we're hooking up. Now the other side of the wire, we're just going to connect to the hot, neutral, and ground of this extension cable outlet. Okay, so we have this bad boy wired up. So I have this little tiny space heater, just like a normal space heater you can buy on Amazon. Have it plugged in to our newly connected extension cable. If we go to the AC and we turn AC on, I just heard a tick from the inverter, presumably. Let's see if our space heater fires up. Oh, I need to go to position number 1 here and flick it on. And immediately, we have ourselves hot air coming out of the space heater here. They give you 6 different AC positions, and they're on a combination of 30 amp as well as 20 amp breakers. To be honest, I would normally just do this one as a 20 amp. All right, so the next step that we're gonna do here is install the alternator charger to charge this bad boy up while we're driving. We're not gonna get solar panels on the van for a while, so for the foreseeable future, this is how we're going to be charging our power kit. The whole idea here is that you plug one side of the alternator charger cable that comes in the kit directly into the power hub in the same way we plugged in all the rest of them. The other side of the cable is where it gets a little bit more challenging. I will show you guys that in detail in a couple seconds. We do need somehow to get from inside of the van out of the van. Thankfully, in my van, I actually have body plugs on the floor throughout the whole van, so I can actually just pull this thing out. I can take this side of the cable with the 2 little lugs on it, and I can slide that through our grommet. We're going to start by installing the fuse. Fuse housing is securely mounted. It is now time to start with the wiring. So you only need to fuse the positive side of the wiring here. So I'm basically going to cut this exterior loom to expose the positive and negative. Thankfully, we did not cut into any of the insulation there. We basically just need to get the positive part of the wire into this fuse on either side. Okay. Okay, so we've got our piece of heat shrink there. That's just a little bit of a nicer finish than letting that stuff fray over time. Into the fuse here. We tightened that Allen down and it just clamps all those strands of wire against this chunk of metal. Now it comes to crimping our lugs onto the wire. We have both sides of our fuse connected. We have the positive on the positive terminal that will connect to the battery in a second. And then the ground, I have basically just added to the existing ground tap right there. It took significantly more work just for this step than connecting the entire electrical system. So this brings me back to the old days of doing electrical. Final step for the alternator charger is to take this end of our cable and plug it in to the power hub. I really wish the other side was that easy. So in order to test the alternator charger, we have to go for a little drive here. You can see right here that it is charging from the alternator right now. The second that I turn the car off, the alternator charger stops charging. Now, a lot of people, including myself in my last build, will do like a 30 amp AC charging cable. But to be honest, I have literally not a single time in my entire life camped somewhere that has a 30 amp plug. But I am always charging from my garage or just from a normal house outlet or a friend's house outlet. So I just go to the hardware store, buy an extension cable. We're gonna cut the female end off, and that's what we're gonna use for kind of a temporary solution so that we can plug it into the house. We are gonna use the included AC charging cable. All we've gotta do is plug that puppy in until it clicks, which I think it did. And we basically have 3 wires, since this is AC instead of DC, that we need to connect to the other side of our extension cable. You can see the 3 wires inside of an extension cable. We have to shave some of the insulation off so that we can get to the parts that we need to crimp. If you're looking directly at a US socket, the left is neutral, the right is hot, and the bottom is obviously ground. So we're gonna use these same connectors that we used yesterday. Basically twist them on. And then I am going to crimp them down twice. Now we just connect the 3 from the ecoflow cable to the 3 on our extension cable. That took about 5 minutes. Let's plug it in and see if it's gonna charge our ecoflow system. Wow, I feel incredibly dumb. I did the female side. I'm gonna redo this whole thing the same way, but with the male. Okay, now we can connect this to our extension cord. This green one is plugged into the garage. Let's see if this blows up or not. Okay, got it connected. It already says recharging. You can see the input is going up. So looks like it's stabilizing at like 1.2 kilowatt hours, which is honestly slightly less than I would expect. I expect to go up to like 1.5, but it is what it is. We're charging. Believe it or not, guys, that actually sums up the entire electrical install for this ecoflow electrical system. I'd say overall, the install experience for this thing was a 9.5 out of 10. Took a tiny fraction of the time that it would have taken me to hook up like a traditional electrical system. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to see me convert the rest of this van here, press the subscribe button below. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time.